Are you a perfectionist? Today, we're not gonna lie.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of NGL People, where we talk about things in life that matter. My name is Zeleny.
I'm Natasha.
And today we're going to talk about perfectionism. This is a very interesting topic because out of everyone here on the couch, I am the only non-perfectionist. I'm just a minimum effort, maximum results kind of gal. Yeah, but today, right? So that's why today I'm really interested to get into the head and the mind space of a perfectionist. So lucky me, I have 3 of them on this couch today. So we'd like to take this time to just introduce your name and give us a glimpse, right, on how perfectionistic you are.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm perfectionist in a way that when I came out today, by the 10th minute that I'm out, right, I'm really upset that my pants are so crumpled.
So you need to wear like perfectly wrinkle-free clothes, is it?
70% of my wardrobe right now is not worn because I have to iron them and I don't have time to iron them. So that's how sad it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Zhen Zong, but most people call me ZZ. I'm perfectionist in the way that whenever I go to KTV, I will prepare a song list beforehand and rehearse it and practice it until it's good enough to sing in front of my friends.
That's it. I thought you go there and tianke one, like you just go by vibes.
No. Because to me, when a song is like sung by an original singer, there is a proper way of singing it. So if you don't sing the way that how the original singer sings,
You're wrong.
then it's wrong lah. Then it's like the melody
Get
of the
out.
tune is wrong. So
You got correct people before.
I think I noticed that whenever my friends sing slightly like off tune or different from the way the original singer sings,
Cringe.
I will frown. If it's a friend that I know closer, I will point out to the person. Like after he finished singing, I will say, "Do you know just now that part you actually sing that is wrong?" Then if my friend already know that I will try to correct them, the next song that they sing, right, I will signal to them like, this part I need to.
Oh my God.
Like preamp, like this chorus must go high, go low. Yeah.
Wow.
But
okay.
disclaimer, not say that I'm
Not
a good
this
singer
is
myself.
But this is last time also. You're a recovering perfectionist.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Nata, you said you're a perfectionist as well, right?
Yes.
So how perfect are you?
In primary 1, my teacher wrote in my report card, Natasha is a very meticulous student, but sometimes she just needs to learn to let go.
Primary 1.
7 years old, I uptight already. I don't know, man. Like, I remember that last time, you have 习字, right? You have to write like penmanship, Chinese. So if I write, right, and it's correct, but it's not nice, I will erase and then write again. So I can write the same thing over and over again, erase, right, until my paper got hole. Then when my paper got hole, right, I don't want to do already because the paper got hole. So I feel
So
like
you
I
have
need
to
a
get-
new piece of paper or I need a new notebook to restart the whole thing. So I actually have multiple notebooks.
Wow.
That's how uptight I was.
We would love to hear more stories. Okay, so can you share with us like something like super ridiculous? How does perfectionism play out in your life?
Okay, maybe I can share first. I really dislike it when things are not done in a certain way. Like when I'm doing laundry, I need to flip like the shirts out the right side, and then all my hangers.
Wait, what's the
need to-
right side?
Meaning, not inside out. You know, sometimes like when you take out your socks, it's like
Yes.
inside out.
The
so I
dirt is
must-
on the outside. You wash
Yes.
the inside for what?
Yes, so I must flip it like.
I thought the washing
The
machine
right
washed
side.
everything. Like the whole thing wet.
No.
Your socks you turn black, right? Still black one.
Yes, so you must flip out the right side for it to be washed like properly and thoroughly.
I hope my husband watches this episode.
Yes.
Wait,
so-
I think not a lot of people know this. You all know?
No, I relate. Come. Tell us what else you
And
do.
then right, you must hang it all on in the same direction. Cannot be like one side in, one side out.
It's an
that's
aesthetic
very
thing, is it?
annoying.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's
it's just
order,
order.
yeah.
Order.
Yeah. Just do it orderly. You know.
Okay.
Like this is one of it. Another thing is, I remember there was one time that I decided to make kimchi stew for lunch. Okay, so I'm that kind of person, right? When it comes to baking or cooking, I feel like I need to follow the recipe to a T. So if it says like 1 teaspoon of sugar or
That's
salt,
okay.
right? Then I will make sure that it's 1 teaspoon and then you level it. you know,
cannot use your finger, right?
Yeah, you
Cause
cannot
not
like
flat.
yes, you cannot like have a mound. You know, you must level it and then you know. So right, I remember I cooked the kimchi stew according to the whole recipe. Okay, so I just like follow everything, and then when I was at the last step, right, then I started to taste it. So I was like, this is very. Like it didn't wow me, okay.
Not nice,
So
just say not
not
nice.
nice, okay. So I was not very wow, but I followed the recipe to a T, okay. So then after that, I called my husband over and I was like, hey, come, can you like help me taste this? Is it like my taste bud got problem? So he tasted it, then he was like, okay, I think I know what to do. So he started to take out like a bunch of things and then like started to add like I don't know, chicken stock powder.
That was
you
not
know,
in a recipe.
That was not in the
Not
recipe. And then he started to add. Then I was like, wait, please stop doing that. That's too much. Okay. Then he was like, you just trust me. You just go there, take a seat, okay? I'll serve the soup to you, okay? So then I was very, very upset and bitter about it. So I sat down and I was like, okay. And then after that, he brought the soup over and he placed it in front of me. And then we started to drink it. So I took sip. Oh, wow. Actually, I have to tell you, the soup was really good. So I was like, okay, sometimes following the recipe, perfectionism doesn't kind of like lend you the results that you thought that you wanted lah.
Wow.
Didier, do you have a perfectionist story?
I am a gamer, so I like playing like those like music rhythm games, especially when you watch the steps, right, and then you press it at the perfect position, then the word perfect will come out. Then you're like, wow, okay, sure. But once the rhythm off by a bit, then you will write the word great. Then if it's further away, then it's good. So every time it's not perfect, right? Then your face will see a bit. For most of the games, it's like that. Then there's one time I came across the game called The Sims. I'm not sure whether you all know this game.
Yes.
Like it's a simulation game where you control some characters and then you're supposed to help them live their life such that they obtain like, you know, the best out of their life lah. So when I started to try to play, I realized that every time when I try to focus on doing one thing, then there are other aspects that the level will start to slowly drop. It's like when you go and bathe, right? Then your hygiene will increase, but your hunger will start to go down. My goal is to have full bar for all the things at all times, but I realized that it's not possible for the game. So I tried for a day already, like I get frustrated, then I just delete the game and then not play
not a
anymore.
good game.
Yeah,
You won't
so
recommend it.
I realized that for a profession like me, I will struggle in that game because
Can't do
I'm
it,
unable to get everything just the way it was.
Wow.
Hey, but don't you think that in some sense that's like a representation of real life? Like you can't be like perfect in everything.
Yeah,
right?
precisely.
So
That's
how
why
you feel
I
as a
think,
perfectionist?
I mean, most of the time it ends up like either you procrastinate in like executing the plans that you have because you know that a lot of things is like not within your control. So like it will seems like lazy towards the people who sees you like when you're doing like either in your schoolwork or when you're working, when you handle a project, you are just trying to find like what is the perfect ways to get it right at the start. So until you find that way,
You will not start.
then you will find a lot of time either thinking about it or trying to look for information to help you with that.
I identify with that so much. In fact, like when Sam was sharing, right, I realized that I think for perfectionists, right, like in your head, there's a very clear right versus wrong.
Yeah.
And like we're very obsessed with finding like what's right. So finding out the right way to do things or the right outcome you're supposed to have from your work, the right expression of things. I had to move house quite a few times. Either because we rented a house or our house was ready or what, right? And every single time I need to pack my house to prepare to move, right, I feel very overwhelmed because I'm obsessed with figuring out the right way to pack. It's like there must be an order to what goes into what box such that eventually when I unpack, right,
You know what is
I
what,
know
right?
what is what,
Yes.
and I can unpack one box at a time and it will fit nicely into different corners of my house. So because of that, I procrastinate the packing so much because it feels like such an overwhelming task, right? Meanwhile, my husband finishes packing all his things in like 10 minutes.
Everything just throw into one box.
Yes. Then he say like, why are things so hard? But then eventually when we move into our new house, right, he have to open every box at the same time because he cannot
cannot
find
remember.
anything. Yeah. But that was when I realized that, oh my gosh, like I was so overwhelmed by such a simple task, you know, because in my head, I overthink the complexity.
You run a lot of
the task.
simulations, right? How come there's like only one right way? And how do you know that that is right?
We're also trying to figure out.
It's like in my books, is this right? So that's why I think there's also that part whereby we try to get very informed through like, you know, you Google, you research and everything. So
yeah,
you know
yeah.
that, okay, so this is it. you know. And then when you are sure that this is it, only then would you embark on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I find that quite true because I used to be a design student. I studied design in uni, right? Like all my profs will tell me that I'm very slow. But and they ask me why is it that I take so long to get started on a project. Then a lot of times I am not able to really fully tell them the reason why. But in my head, I know it's because I need to know that this concept is worth developing. I have it all thought out before I embark on it. But actually, in design school, I think the process is very important. So they are okay, like as in the profs and the teachers are okay with you starting first. And then along the way, you
Explore
discover,
lah.
you explore, and then you come to some destination that might not be where you started out wanting to do. They're totally okay with that. But I am not
You
okay with
cannot.
that. Yeah, I can't. I'm just like, okay, I know this is where I want to go. I need to know. And then step A, B, C, D, E, F, G, this is how I'm going to get there. Yeah, so that's why a lot of times they view it as, hey, you're procrastinating, you're slow. But you're just trying to get everything figured out and then you embark on it.
Yeah, I got a question. Do you think you're very rigid because of your perfectionism?
I feel like yes, to a certain extent. So when it comes to like, say, if I work with people or my friends and I want to do a certain project, right? I feel like it needs to be done A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So if it's done A, C, B, E, you know,
You feel like
yeah, I feel like
something not right.
wait. Like it's supposed to be this before this. You know, if you don't do this before this, you will miss out on this. You know, I'll start
Yeah.
thinking like that. You know, yeah, and I think that sometimes working with people that might be actually a little bit stifling. So I've realized that hey, actually, what I impose on myself and the people around me, right? Like, I think there needs to be a difference, lah. You know, if not, it's very stressful, you know.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, then in that same vein, right, do you all struggle to work with very chaotic people?
Yes.
So what do you
Please
define as
share
chaotic
more.
first?
Okay, I think for me, the area that I'm more particular is in terms of like file management or like the naming and formattings of things. So it's
Yeah,
like
messy.
like in our WhatsApp, like we have in a lot of like group chats, right? Oh, lunchtime, anybody want kopi? Like then you want order,
Yeah.
right? Then say okay, send
Some
your
people
order
cannot
now.
follow format one.
Yeah, no. So when I start seeing people ordering, like number one, then there's a space, then the
Never
other one, the
bowl.
two, then there's a bracket, then the other three, then it's like ×1 and ×2, then it's like spell out. Then like, why cannot be the same format? So when it's my turn, then I edit and then I rewrite everything
just
to a
add yours, but
consistent
edit.
format. It's
I
like, you know,
relate
like
so
indent
hard
it and then
with
just write it. Same format, then I send. I work as a video editor. So I mean, like the file management, everything is quite important lah,
Yes.
because you need to make sure all your assets, everything is kept in the correct files. So there's one time my colleague, he's sick. So like my supervisor just asked me, okay, can you take over his project? So can you go to his computer on and then just finish out what he needs to
Lord.
do. So it's like I turn on the computer, then like lo and behold,
Is this?
no, the desktop itself is like, it's already in a mess, like all sorts of files. Then when I open the project file, then they prompt me like, oh, missing files. Yeah, I think it drives me mad. So this kind of thing is like, so if I were to work with somebody, I have to make sure I lay down these ground rules. It's like, okay, I'm very particular with this line, so you must get it right. If not, I'm going to
I will
chase
not
you
take
for
over
that. Yeah.
from you.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because, you know, coming from like uni and also at work, there's a lot of like team collaborations, right? Yeah, then sometimes because my background is like project manager, so it's like timeline based as well. So we will naturally put in internal reviews and drafts, right? Then like I remember there was this person also, right, that requested for more time to work on her part. She submitted her stuff like a few days later than everyone else, right? But her part was like perfect. In fact, it was like the best. Yeah, while everyone else needed to do some revisions and all, right? Like hers was like good to go. Yeah. So I'm like thinking, actually, yeah, that's a great part about being a perfectionist. Like, you know, y'all will like confirm, send out good work. Like it will never be missing. And like I know for ZZ, right? Like video editing, there's so many things that, you know, you have to also take note of, like if there's like a glitch on the screen,
Yes.
or like the subtitles got typo, all these things, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so many things to take note of. So I'm like, well, actually, it's nice to be on a team where there's a perfectionist, because you can count on that person to check every single person's work and
Voluntarily.
and voluntarily redo the whole report so that it'll be great. But don't worry, guys, we never take advantage of y'all.
I guess as perfectionists, like we are our own harshest critics. So we hold like very high standards of ourselves. So even before you want to send out or pass to somebody else your work, you have to go through your own like,
Internal
checklist. Like, is this good enough or not? So usually because it's so high that you strive that when you send it out, people will think that, okay, it's good to go. So I think one motto that I hold very strongly is like, do it once, do it good.
Yes.
I feel like actually y'all are like, there's great like ownership over the things that are like given to you. Like y'all really want to do a good job of it. Yeah, but how will y'all like be like when, let's say, you put out a work, right? Then like Zizi's example just now, maybe there's, because of time crunch or there's some limitations, it's not as good as what you hope for it to be, your plan, your simulations in your head. How do you deal with that?
Earlier on, I found it quite difficult to deal with that. I'm like, like this could have been so much better. You know, like this is meeting my minimum standard, but I have to like launch it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think at some point in my journey, right, I started to befriend timelines as my best friend. So I feel like nowadays, for people like me who's perfectionistic, right? Like keeping in mind that I have this timeline, I have this constraint, I have this so-called box that I have to create within, right? That helps me to let go more. So when it comes to that timeline is approaching, and if I can answer to myself that, hey, within this constraint, I have done absolutely everything that I can, my best to do this. Maybe it's still not up to the standard that I wish I could, reach, right? But within that constraint, right, I have done my best, right? I find it easier to kind of like just, okay, let it be, let go, and okay, I'm good with this. Yeah, so that's in my experience. Like, I feel like, nowadays timelines help me. Yeah. What about you, Zizi?
When you realize that either your work or your something that you do is not as perfect, that means like a mistake is being spotted afterwards at the end.
Yeah.
It's quite devastating. That means to me, I think it's like you just like your world just crash. Just even the one typo or one minor details that is covered. Because
That's all you see.
yes, because like you just cannot take it as like this is acceptable. So there isn't a middle point. It's either perfect or you
Not rubbish.
It's trash.
rubbish.
Correct.
Oh no.
So it's actually quite, as in you will do that with yourself very harshly. Like people may say, wow, well done, like, good job, it was very good. But to you, because you yourself spotted the mistakes, so to you, you just hold that error, right? Like you will keep thinking about it and it affects you, like it spoils your day.
I feel like we are on a scale of perfectionism. I think he's apex. Like apex. Zizi is the
perfectionist.
Yeah. As in, because I identify with what you're saying, but I don't think I am crushed in the same way. It's just that whatever I put out, right, I refuse to put out bad work. So I would rather stay up late, right, to redo the entire thing over and over again than submit something I'm not proud of. For me, it's more of like I really want to perfect my work every single time. So there are times where I see that it perhaps is not at 100%. If it's at an 80, I feel like I can still celebrate the fact that it's 80. Just that I will think about how do I then like bump up to like 100% and make sure that it's like perfect the next time I do it.
Okay, I don't know, because for me, right, I'll be so happy because I finished it. Yay! And then like all people are like, okay, very good. Okay, you can move on.
I was trying to trace back when we were preparing for this episode, right? I feel like maybe it's a bit of like upbringing and childhood for me. Like I was trying to think like, when did I begin to have perfectionist tendencies? And I really cannot identify like a singular point or like a singular event. But I have memories that like from very, very young as a child, right? Like I sincerely want to be perfect. Like I think at home also, it's not that my parents have ever put that on me. And I don't think that I get penalized for not being perfect. But my parents affirm me a lot for being perfect. And I feel it's because they're very generous with their praise. I'm sure I was not a perfect child, but they're very, very generous with their praise. So like, okay, also because my older brother very naughty. So like I think
Contrast.
like, he set the bar pretty low. So like whatever I did in relation to that, it's like, wow, good job. But he's a changed man, Koko, you're great. But like, yeah. So like as a child, like I think a lot of the things that I did was celebrated. Like I can recall moments where my mother even tell me that like you're perfect. Like literally she tells me that I'm perfect. Yeah, so actually it sounds quite like heartwarming. I think I grew up with quite a healthy self-esteem. But because of that, I also do instinctively feel the need to be perfect. And it's in multiple areas. Like
So it's
I
like
think
positive reinforcement, right?
a bit.
From
Like
young.
I think I feel it in multiple areas. So academically, I feel the need to like always be at the top. Behaviorally, morally, things like that. I also feel the need to be perfect. So I remember when I was like in primary school, right? If I ever get into trouble with teachers, which is very, very, very rare, I think the times that I got into trouble was maybe like a group effort, you know. Then I just sway lah.
It was
part of the
someone
group.
else
Yeah,
that
then I
pulled
just
you
like
down.
kind of lump into the trouble. Then I remember one incident where I think I was quite already like P5, P6. Then like my teacher scolded the group of us in class. I feel like I want to cry, you know. Like I feel like I cannot deal with like having done wrong things and that like this whole perfectionism is very intertwined with my identity. But because of that, there's also a lot of shame with being imperfect. So when like you fall short academically, behaviorally or whatever, right? Like I feel embarrassment, I feel shame quite strongly. And I remember this from a young age. Like I cannot be scolded one. When I be scolded, I always want to cry. I feel very embarrassed. So I think it just kind of overflowed into everything that I did throughout my growing years. Like whatever I put my hand to, I must do well. Like I cannot be mediocre and I can't be average. Like I need to be top of my game in everything that I do. Like if I learn how to dance, I better be the best dancer. If I learn how to act, I better be the best actor. If I cannot, then just don't act. Just don't dance. That
So
kind of thing.
you are willing to try, but then if let's say the first time around it doesn't go well, then
I try selectively. There are some things I know I confirm very bad, like math and science.
Yeah.
Then I just tell myself, don't try lah.
To me, I also trying to trace back. The only thing that I can link off is that because I'm the youngest in the family, so since young, I will be told what is the things that I need to do. Like all the decision has been made for me. That means like you should do this, you should do that.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea that is ingrained is like there's always a proper way of like
Doing
living
things.
life.
Yeah.
So whether is it like, okay, you should study, do your study well, like especially after like O level, then you need to get into JC, then so that you can get into university. Yeah. So it's like all my life there seems to be always a right way of pursuing. So if you are not on this track, right, that means you are wrong already. Yeah. So I guess that somehow in my upbringing has caused me to maybe always wanting to find out what is that right way in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, I think upbringing, like what Zizi said, does play quite a big part. In fact, I think my upbringing a little bit different from Nata. In fact, in my household, it's very uncommon to hear affirmations. Yeah, so like typical Asian family, whereby I remember when I was maybe P1 to P3, I was like topping my class and everything, right? Then I would go home and tell my mom that I'm topping my class. I got first in the cohort, that kind of thing, right? And I'll tell her, hey, I did this. And she'll be like, how come you're always comparing with people whom you are better than, instead of comparing upwards? She will not say that you did well. She will say you did not bad. Yeah, so everything is like not bad lah, you know, not like perfect, great, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I remember ever since a young age, right, this not bad has always been ingrained in me, right? Like it's not good enough, so to speak. So I see that also in like today, you know, whenever I do well, I very rarely am able to say this is a great job
To
you know?
yourself,
Yeah, to
right?
myself. Most of the time, I'll think that it's not bad. Yeah, it is never like great, perfect, you know, it is not bad. I'm very thankful that there are people around me who are less critical than me. So people around who tell you that like, hey, actually, if you look at this objectively, there are things that it can be improved, but there are some real things that you really did well. and then A, B, C, D, E, they tell it to you. And I find that quite helpful in helping me to realize it. Sometimes I don't even realize it myself that, hey, these things are done well. Because I just majorly focus on that one thing that is not done well. In fact, sometimes there can be 10 things that are done well and one thing that is not done well. And I will hyper analyze and like focus and spotlight that one thing. So much so that it's quite excruciating. At night, you're just thinking about, wow, this one thing that I said, or like this one thing that I could have done better, and then you just really get very consumed by it, right? Yeah. So I think having people around did definitely help, and all that.
I'm just thinking, how does that, like, for you guys, I can imagine, like, y'all will scrutinize every single bit of the project, right? Do you have to do anything to intentionally, step out and see the bigger picture? Or is it like a mindset change?
For me, disciplining myself to celebrate the wins, more so than ever, because I know that I'm very prone to just focusing on not the wins, but whatever needs to be improved on. So there are just times whereby after I finish a project or whatever, it's actually very natural for me to like hyper analyze, but disciplining myself. Okay, so in this time I will celebrate these things.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And I will at the same time also leave space to think about what can be improved, but maybe within a certain perimeter. If not, I feel like it is quite a dark black hole. Like you don't set any perimeters, you're just like spiraling, not good, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I find like that helps for me. Yeah.
Wow. Nata, how about you?
Okay, for example, with every piece of work that I put out, right, I will ask myself, is this perfection for that phase that I was in? If that makes sense. If it is, then okay, I can celebrate it. But next week, I am better. So actually, next week, I am at least like a 1% better because I have some past experience of having done it. Maybe the first time I did it, I don't know what I'm doing. So with the environment and the fact that I didn't know what I'm doing, this is the best I could do. Okay. But next week, I know what I'm doing already. So next week, I better do better. Yeah, so generally I realized that that's how I approach it. So I have this okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I also think I'm a bit crazy. I periodically take out my old papers and my old essays, right, to reread. And I will imagine in my head how I will rewrite the entire paper. I have graduated from uni for like 7 years. And this is how I understood this concept and phenomenon, and I expressed it this way. Now, as a much more woke 30-year-old, how will I rewrite this paper? Yeah, and then I just like think about these things and feel so energized and fulfilled.
Wow. Oh my gosh, do you know, like, now I go back and read my papers, right? I'll be like, wow, last time I so smart. I'm like, wow, I don't think I can redo uni. I'll probably fail. I'll drop out.
But yeah, I do it. I even obsess over the punctuation. Yeah, but it's not motivated by fear. It's motivated by like a desire to grow
better.
and do better. And like that's why I think it's very exciting. To me at least, I feel I haven't experienced the side of perfectionism where it cripples me into inaction. So my version of procrastination, I feel kind of like pushes me into growth.
There's always space to grow.
Yeah, because there's always like a next, in some sense, like a next standard, a next benchmark that I can hit. But of course, I think this is something that must be handled with a lot of care because it requires you to discipline yourself to not go too crazy, even though I sound a bit crazy right now. But I think, like what I shared earlier, right? I think a lot of perfectionism is very intertwined with identity and therefore shame and all. But maybe for me, like as I grew older, I learned how to decouple that a little bit and delink that a little bit. I still have a deep desire to always put out good work and work that I would consider perfect. No more revisions can be made at this point in time to make it even better. But I think I learned to not see, in some sense, my worth, my reputation and all these kind of things as so closely intertwined with the work I put out.
So was there a point where you realized being perfectionistic is not sustainable?
I think I came to a place where I realized that wanting to be perfect in every single area, especially for me because it did have an impact on how I wanted to be behaviorally, morally and things like that, right? Like wanting to be perfect in every single area is a ridiculous standard for anybody to hit. Yeah, like and so when I realized that kind of standard that I was holding myself to, which definitely also has an impact on the kind of standard I hold others to, right? Like I realized that was quite ridiculous. I don't think I'm ever really going to get it right 100% of the time. And because I went through that journey of realizing that, okay, maybe it's a bit too extreme, I learned to show myself a bit more grace when I fall short, to recognize that actually there can be things that I don't do well, which I couldn't accept last time. Yeah, because it's a very like double-edged sword. On the one hand, you want very much to be perfect, right? But on the other hand, when you actually can be these things, you also can become very proud, self-righteous, narrow-minded, because that's just how you see the world. That's just how you evaluate people.
And then this
yourself.
right way can be the only way.
Yeah, so I feel I was stuck in that. Like wanting to be perfect, being able to taste it in some form, but realizing that actually in some sense, it also makes me quite proud, quite self-righteous, quite narrow-minded. And I don't want to be that way. I had to learn how to show a bit more grace and empathy to myself and my imperfections. But when I did that, then it also opened my heart to show it to other people as well. You know?
So just now I mentioned that in my upbringing, it's like I was always being told that there's a right way of living life or progressing in life. So when I first enter like army in the BMT, my two elder brother just give me their advice and said, okay, if you are in the army, there's only two ways you can strive to. Either you reach to the top or you strive to be the bottom. Okay, I take the advice and say, okay, no, I strive to be the top, which is at that point to strive to go to officer course lah. Yeah. So eventually I get into officer school. Yeah. But in the midst of training, because of an incident, then my health causes me to get out of course. Yeah. So I still remember during that time when I was out of course, I felt like my world ended. So I was like, wow, what am I supposed to do in life now? Now I cannot be an officer already. Like there seems to be no middle ground for me. Yeah. Of course, eventually I get transferred to other units in the army. I realized that actually it's also okay. Like it's not as bad. There's nothing like the only one way to do army. In fact, because of that, then eventually I get to do some like admin works where, you know, the meticulous side of me like, to go and do Excel spreadsheets to organize the dockets in the archiving rooms. Like, wow, I actually enjoy doing it every day. Then actually at that point I realized that I'm contributing more to the army than physically, because physically I'm not like that fit, right? But I realized that during that point, I actually enjoying doing army. Yeah. So reflected and realized, perhaps there's really no one right way, like no one perfect way of living your life. Yeah. And interestingly, it's also because during that period, I came to like across like Christianity, and that's where like I become a Christian, and because of that, it also helps a lot in like being secure in my identity, because the faith like shared that like my God loves me no matter who I am. Yeah. And it contributes greatly into how I'm able to let loose of being not so perfectionist as I used to be, because I no longer tie my failures or the things I do to who I am as a person. Yeah. And of course, now being happily married, like having a wife that really loves me and accept who I am, like knowing my flaws, weaknesses, yet able to love me and enjoy or celebrate the good things and the strengths that I have. I believe that it all helps in making me like look less and less into that, that endless cycle. Like whenever there's an inner voice that tells me like, oh, you fail in this, you're a failure, it dies off quite easily nowadays, because there are other voices that tells me that, hey, no, that's not true.
For me, one turning point was, so I remember currently right now I'm overseeing a bunch of creatives in the area of songwriting. So I remember, right, that for 2023 we came together and we listened to each other's songs, and then I remember that there's this inner perfectionist critic in me starting to emerge, right? And then I started to sort of critique the songs. I immediately could sense in that atmosphere, right, that there was this like discouragement. And then I went back home that night, right, as a overseer of these creatives, I started to reflect. Then I started to think of this question, like, what if this perfectionist in me is causing me to stifle creativity in the people that are around me? And that was when I just realized that, this year, as I lead this bunch of creatives, I need to take a step back. So after that session, I went back and I told the team and the closer people in the team that like I am not going to. I'm just going to sharpen whatever needs to be sharpened, but I'm going to take a step back and I want to see how these songs reach the people that it's supposed to reach, how it's going to speak to people, and I'm not going to embellish it. So then I think fast forward when we finally did launch the albums, right? I did hear things that can be improved, but actually most of the time the songs did reach who it's supposed to reach, did achieve its purpose, did speak to people. And then in retrospection, right, I realized that, hey, actually, yeah, this is how it can look like. You know, I don't have to feel every need, you know, every time jump on every opportunity, you know, to say, okay, this can be better, this can be changed, you know, and whatnot. But just let the work like breathe and just let the work accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish, you know. And then I found that it is freeing both for me and for the people who are in the team as well.
Well, I relate a lot with what she said. I think when I got into a relationship, that's when I realized that even though with a lot of my friends, with the people that I work with, I'm quite chill because I respect boundaries and I respect like everybody being able to decide for themselves how they want to live, right? Wow, with my partner, it's very different, you know. When I look at Brian, right, when we first got together, right, I see all the good things about him, but I very clearly see the imperfections. It's like my brain is just like hardwired to spot all the flaws and the things that could be better. And it didn't come from a negative place, you know. It came from a place of like I assume you will want to be better because I want to be better all the time. So
let's be better together.
Yes, really, really. So in a lot of my conversations with him, right, I always encourage him to like, go in this, go in that, try this, try that, right? And I always thought it's such a good thing because if anybody did that for me, I'll be like, thank
So
you,
energized.
I love it, you know? Yeah. But until a while, I realized that, oh my gosh, like, I think I'm stifling him and I'm like driving him crazy by imposing my high standards on him.
Wow.
That was the thing that humbled me to realize that there isn't always a right way. Housework can look different in different forms. And learning to let go a bit so that I give the people around me space to be who they are and they don't just always have to fit into the mold that I curate for them. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah. I really like how you recognize, all of you recognize that that there's no one right way, like one perfect way for yourself, but not just that, but also for the people around. Like I feel that in itself can free us from zeroing into, you know, like that particular flaw or imperfection, and at the same time not impose that same mindset on other people who may not be wired to see what you see as well. But at the same time, that is good, right? That come out from being a perfectionist.
I think if you harness it well, we are teammates that you can hopefully rely on if we don't impose our expectations on you.
Yes. Yeah, that everybody's best looks a little bit different, and actually, how do we come to a place that we are okay with that? Yeah, or maybe not everybody wants to do their best all the time, and then how do we navigate that? But I realize a lot of things in life, whether it's it at your colleagues, or maybe even next time your children. Yeah, you can choose your partner, but you don't know, you know, your children. Wow. I think it is it's really a long journey ahead to see how there is no one right way for every single person. And how do we embrace when people choose a different way from us. Yeah, so a lot of things to think about. Thank you so much, Zizi, Sam, and Nata as well for sharing your journey about perfectionism. And I think I do see a little more into your mind space, and it's so insightful to see how it's not just about, you know, you trying your best or you just, you know, not being able to celebrate wins, but like that whole journey as well. And I think someone who's a non-perfectionist, now I know also, you know, how to, I guess, share feedback that it actually is helpful for you guys also. Yeah, and at the same time, recognize my role to help you all see that there's no one right way of doing things. So perfectionists and non-perfectionists can coexist together lah, huh? Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And if you really like this episode, give it a like, subscribe to our channel, share it with a fellow perfectionist, and see if you can relate with some of their tendencies. And we're all on this like learning journey together. And you can also find us on social media at ngl.people. You can also find our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well. And if you'd like to see behind the scenes or updates about upcoming episodes, you can join our Telegram channel at NGL People as well. Until the next time, we'll see you on the next episode. Bye!